So it's a beautiful sunny day here in Florida. We had a cold front come through last night. It was 57 degrees at my house this morning, and we went to Reef Stock out in Denver last weekend, spent 5 days out there, had a great time, set up the booth, sold a bunch of jellyfish aquariums from JELLYFISH Art and the new Tropic Marine Center Chryzals, and we went out to a really awesome dinner at Flagstaff House, which was overlooking the city of Boulder, Colorado. Just a beautiful time at sunset. And today we're working on the 450 again. Joe put the 45s in. He likes putting the 45s in the aquarium. And then today I'm installing the end braces and the center brace in the middle of the aquarium. I've done some initial detail silicone work. You can see we've cleaned up the 45s. I got a center line. I put some blocks of wood in here, and the end cap inset braces are going in, the center brace is going in, and the other end cap. I've already primed and cleaned this area, and I've already primed and cleaned these braces here too. They're a little complicated, but not that difficult to put in. You can see we have some starboard T-struts. They're attached with the C-clamps on there, so they're not going anywhere. I've already primed and cleaned those as well. And I'm gonna start right now, and we'll put the first one in. Those braces on the end, I think are 5s, so I should probably check that real quick. Yeah, those are 5s, so 5 here is that whole distance right there. So they're gonna go all the way to that edge. So we'll start siliconing in there. It'll take just a few minutes, but it's important to note that we're taking our time doing this properly and what I would call at a reasonable clip of speed. So the idea is to get enough silicone in here. You know, when you really think about it, silicone is actually reasonable, even if the tube is $10 or $15 compared to the thousands of dollars it costs for this glass. It's reasonable. So I wouldn't worry about using too much silicone when I build an aquarium. I could do a double, put a little here on the lower edge that's gonna go in first and some down the length. This is the fun part. So we're gonna take this, it's attached with the C-clamps. It's not the easiest thing to do, but we're gonna do it. And I'm gonna hold it back to myself and get up here and line it up nice and lightly. I already pre-measured how it fits, so you can see the brace just went in, and I'm gonna take it and push it towards myself to squeeze out the silicone on the ends. So you can see how this T-brace held it all together. You can see how clean the seam is here. We'll go over here and see, seam's clean here, little bubbles there. We can push that in with a clamp, and the other side's nice and clean too. That's how you get it in there flush and supportive. I'll probably let all these sit for certainly several days to get it all nice and clean. The key thing is that this is now flush, because when those runner pieces go on, it's got to be flush and clean when we put the 5-inch cap runners that go all the way around the back of and the front of the aquarium. So we got one in, that went really smooth. I should note that obviously I pre-measured everything beforehand. There's gotta be some gap, there's gotta be some tolerance for when you put it together, and you've gotta check the glass. Now, these are supposed to be, I believe it was 35 1/8, and they came in heavy. They were 35 3/16. And you gotta be really careful. If they were too big, then you'd never be able to use them. So you double check everything. Don't assume that the glass was perfect. It never necessarily is. And I'm just kind of guessing the 5 inches here. And I like using plenty of clamps because there's no way it's gonna slip out. And the C-clamps are in really tight, so they're not going anywhere. A lot of times I'll use a shirt that I've used before for this kind of stuff. And you can see I just got a little silicone on that shirt. This one seems a little tighter, but not a big deal. Bring it close. Jolene's not gonna be too happy. I got silicone all over my shirt. Maybe I'll wipe that off right now. Oh well, that happens. The brace, that one needs a little squeezing of the silicone. See that little spot right there where there's a gap? No silicone in there, so you wanna fill that in. And you can do that usually with shim. Just kind of fill in the gap. Not unusual to have it. That looks good here. The back side's in good shape. Now the last one here is a little trickier because it's a big center brace that is 8 inches wide by the internal width. That's kind of why I have the guides, the 2x4s. I put those in with the aluminum tape. They're already acetone. This is already primed as well. So we'll get here and look at that too, at the silicone. So I've marked off the 8 inches and you can see it here. And I'm gonna put it on the top because certainly it's gonna squeeze out. I think I'm gonna go like this, and I can actually use the starboard as a guide. So we'll go to the front first, and we'll go down here second, and line them up, make sure they're clean, and make sure they're lined up and centered. So your T-support is keeping it nice and flat. This piece of starboard is glued in and put in there nice and clean. So we've centered it on the 8 inches here, nice and clean like that. I mean, I can't ask for a better fit to start with. If that center brace was too big, then you would end up, I mean, even having to bow the glass a little to fit it in there. So it's a really good to have a tight fit. That's the next phase of really putting it together. You can see the silicone is even filled in here on that little micro gap between the 45 and the top inset piece. So there's a little bit of margin I gave it there. And even here, I left a little margin just so that when I pull this wood out eventually, it'll stay clean. But I like putting the wood there because when I take this off, you don't want this center brace free floating, because in theory, it could fall if the silicone wasn't dry completely. So that's it for today. It's turning out to be a really great beginning into March here. So I hope you guys liked the video, and remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.